Well, hello and welcome to the video which details our 91 Land Cruiser HDJ81. We're selling it here in Vancouver. We are just 20 minutes north of the Washington border, and the vehicle's ready to go right away. All maintenance is up to date. I've owned it since I imported it from Japan in 2008 myself, and this video will go through all of the history of the vehicle, the maintenance, all of the upgrades, modifications. We'll detail some of our receipts, and if you stick around at the end, you'll get to watch a driving video. So I sure hope you enjoy. Thank you. Okay, hello. This is our 1991 Toyota 80 Series Land Cruiser. It's a Japanese import. It's an HDJ81 series. I've owned it since 2008. I am the person who imported it from Japan, and I've owned it ever since. I've never parked it outside overnight. I've always had it in a garage. The vehicle's remarkably rust-free. I've used it very heavily. I've done lots of great expeditions with it. It's been perfectly reliable. I imported it with 110,000 kilometers, a genuine non-smoking vehicle, and it now stands at about 286,000 kilometers. I've had it to Moab, the Rubicon, and the Mojave, the Black Rock Desert, all over British Columbia, and it's been fantastic. I've modified it for off-road use. It has most of the modifications people want with one of these. It's not cosmetically perfect, but it's a really solid, good-looking vehicle. There's no real dents in it. These have a rather heavier gauge of metal in the body panels. It's sitting on a set of 4 all-terrain TA KO2s with really good tread. They're 34.9 inch, so they're 315/75/16. I've got it on steel wheels. I got rid of the forged alloy wheels because they started to get porous. Other modifications in the vehicle, and there's quite a long list. It has an ECB Australian aluminum front bumper, really stout. It has the Warren Tabor 9,500 pound winch with the Factor 55 hawse and the Viking attachment on the front. This winch is both wirelessly remote controlled and with a cabled control. 2 years ago I put a brand new synthetic winch line in. You can see it in there. I think you can see it in there. There it is. And I've only used it once. As I say, the car is stored inside all the time, so UV is not a problem. It has the depot headlamp upgrades with HID bulbs. The headlight washers are functional. I've cut out the grille between the Toyota because this is actually an intercooled truck, and this lets a little more air into the intercooler. Again, depot headlights, factory headlight washers. The truck is not cosmetically perfect, but it's very solid. There is some stone chips in the hood and in the grille. There's a few little bumps and bruises around. It has the cruising off-road bump out sliders on it. So these are really great. You can pick up the entire truck with a high lift jack with these. They are not welded on, they are bolted on. You can remove them as required. Little look inside the frame. You can see everything's in good order. Remarkably corrosion-free vehicle. A little bit of paint checking here on the door handles. I actually have a spare door handle for it. It has the 4x4 Labs, simple rear bumper. I just had it re-powder coated. We have a fire stick antenna that mounts here with a built-in CB radio. JDM swing out tire carrier. Works well. This is another same size all-terrain TA. This is not a KO2, it's a KO1. It's an older tire. In 2022 I took it to Moab for the last time, and I actually backed a tree through the back window. Broke the back window, so I removed the back window and I installed another back window with a new Toyota gasket. This is a completely rust-free rear hatch. You can see it's unusual, but that's JDM for you. These are the stickers from Japan, the Land Cruiser 50th anniversary. Lower tailgate's the same, completely rust-free. Remarkable condition. I have not cleaned the truck. It's been in the garage all winter. I only put 3,000 kilometers on this car last year, which is one of the reasons we're thinking of selling it. I have been using it to tow a small travel trailer, and I've modified it to suit. We'll go around the side. Get another look at it. You can look where these normally rust out on this one. There's no real issue there at all. There's no bubbling. There was no rust in the tailgate when I removed it. There's some residue here left over from the Japanese monsoon windows. That's been there since 2008 when I got the vehicle. Again, this side, the cruising off-road slider. It does have a cruising off-road skid plate underneath for the transfer case. It's presently not on the truck. I was working on the transfer case. It has an aftermarket sway bar, which is heavier on the front. The factory sway bar remains on the back. The front sway bar is disconnectable. We look under the front of the vehicle. Got an EMU steering stabilizer. I redid the front axle completely and the rear axle, the bearings, the seals, everything in 2022 before I went to Moab, and I installed Longfield hardened front axles and Burfields. I've retained the original axles and 5-year-old Burfields as trail spares. That'll be noted later in the video. Again, that front axle can be, sway bar can be disconnected, and it has an adjustable front panhard rod, an adjustable rear panhard rod. Back under here again, there's a look at that new winch cable. I'll open the hood. The struts on the hood and the tailgate lid are brand new, so they hold it up no problem. Batteries are 1.5 years old. I generally put batteries in this truck every 3 years, so she's good to go. It'll give you some idea of the condition. There's no collision damage at all. Little intercoolers mounted here. A very large Durale, I believe that's how you say it, automatic transmission cooler here. There's an aftermarket automatic transmission gauge. I keep some Howes here. I put a little bit of Howes lubricator in at every fill up. The air conditioning's been renewed to the R134A modern refrigerant. Engine shows pretty well. The power steering reservoir has been resealed. It's ready to go. This is the remote control for the Warn winch. I mounted it under here to keep it out of the weather from my road trips. The engine was a complete engine out rebuilt about 5 years ago. I have all the documentation. We removed the engine, everything was done. Pistons, the head was sent out, 3-angle valve job. The turbo was upgraded ever so slightly. It has a Toyota inducer wheel in it, so it can push a little more without any issues. I have a circuit breaker here. I've set this vehicle up to tow. It does have a brake controller, and this is a circuit breaker you can set to isolate that system. You can see last 2 years I've replaced the master cylinder with a stock Aisin Toyota unit. You can see the color of the brake fluid. I flush the brake fluid every season, whether it needs it or not. This blue thing is just a modified intake to accommodate the intercooler. Coolant's been changed regularly. I changed the engine oil on the vehicle. I only use Chevron Delo 400 15W40 exclusively. I changed it just recently, and well, you can't even see it on the stick. I put a little bit of zinc additive in the oil every time. I changed it last year and I did an oil sample with Finning Labs. It came back clean. This year I did another oil sample, and I haven't got it back yet, but I expect it'll be just the same. So the oil gets changed every year, and last year I only put 3,000 kilometers, but I changed it anyway. As you noted, the brake fluid gets changed every year. In the engine rebuild, we redid the main bearing, big end bearing shells. We redid the water pump. We redid the harmonic balancer. It's brand new. Water pump's new. All the tensioners on the front. The timing belt is new. I use exclusively the Toyota two-stage filter out of a red box. So that's all been done. Last year I changed the LSPV valve for the brake bias. That's been changed. So that gives you a good look at the motor. It's reasonably clean. I only use Toyota fuel filters. I do them every second year. The interior of the vehicle is in reasonable shape. Typical for an HDJ. I use these rubber floor mats. I do have the factory floor mat for both sides with the Land Cruiser logo. So you can see the condition of the vehicle. It's very reasonable for what it is. Everything works. The vehicle does have the center console refrigerator, and of course we have to show you it has the ridiculous ice cube trays that no one ever uses, but it will keep a six-pack ice cold for you. One of the few modifications I've done in here, I've added the Land Rover Defender cup holder. You can see the plastic here is getting a little beat up. I think that's common. You can repaint that. It has the adjustable height, seat belts, sunroof. The dash camera will not be included in the sale. I'll be keeping that. All the original Japanese markings and logos are here. I've got a nice aftermarket stereo. You can see the front door is just behind the grille. I'll go over that. It does have tweeters on the dash, so it's a separate system with crossovers in the door. Rear door, same thing. Now, this is the same speakers as I have in the front. It's a Kenwood Exelon 6.5-inch driver with a tweeter. There's a passive cross in the door. We have the original Land Cruiser floor mat in the back. Rear seats are in reasonable shape. It does have the armrests. Rear seats can be, of course, swung back and then flipped again. If we lift the floor mat, you can see the general condition of the door and the frame. I don't do much cleaning. All the original Japanese stuff is here. Ashtrays, you can see, has never been smoked in. So she's in pretty good shape. Now, I noted that there's still the residue. I guess I got lazy and I never bothered to take that off in 2008, but I do have a set of WeatherTech window visors which are included. They're brand new in a box. I never stuck them on, so you can stick them on. I'd like to note all of the wiper arms on the truck are brand new. They're Toyota parts. I got them from Saudi Arabia. I repainted the front cowl panel because it was starting to lose some of the clear coat. There's a bit of clear coat coming off here, and the same on the other side. I don't know what it is about the fender tops on these trucks, but you can see that there. It's just starting to come off. Last year I pulled the windshield out. This is the original Toyota factory windshield. I ordered a new gasket from Saudi Arabia, and I was worried about a little corrosion that I saw here. So I pulled it all out, and it turned out it was perfect underneath. There was nothing for me to do, so I rust proofed it, repainted it, and reinstalled the windshield with a brand new Toyota factory gasket. And of course it has the proper sealant to the factory service manual's recommendations. So we'll do the rear seat. Okay, it's got the lap belts only in the back, like you'd expect from the factory. The stereo is really great. This Exelon speaker was like, these pair were like $300 Canadian for these speakers, because they're the only ones shallow enough they fit, but it really pushes hard. The net here is as it always is. That one's a little better. The headliner's got a few knocks in it, but there's no sags, no rips, just some stains. I've used this truck, I've slept in it, it's been everywhere with me. It's perfect, really reliable truck. It's got all the handholds, and I installed the extra handhold over there for the driver's side. All there, all the interior lights work. This door and frame is in good shape. We'll look at the driver. Okay, again, here's another one of these rubber mats. The condition of the carpet underneath real good. Later in the video you can see the floor mats and all the spare parts that are in the cargo bay. I have no idea what this is for. All the electric windows are fully functional, so, oh, one more time, sorry. So it's got the express down, express up, over there. Same thing. Oh no, that's this one. That one goes up and down. This one goes up and down. Power locks are all functional. That's just my camera. The power retracting mirrors, all power retract. It's a nice thing to have, especially when you're going down the trails. It has the power sunroof, which opens, closes. Shade works. I can close it, and then you can tilt it up or down. And again, power antenna actually works, if you can believe it. So everything works. It has the obviously the power window control. There's the hand throttle is here, cruise control, wipers. This truck is triple locked, right? So if we put on there's your diff lock light there, and there's your other diff lock light. Has the center diff lock switch. Okay. The performance suspension is not connected. The rear heat works. There it goes. You can hear it. Now, under the dash, I've installed a transmission temperature gauge. I don't know if you can really see that. A boost gauge and a exhaust gas temperature gauge. So what we've got here, right down here, that's the EGT. So that's before the turbo, like it should be. Boost gauge and trans gauge. You can see I can turn on the pardon me, works really well. I put a brand new steering wheel in it. I actually found a new old stock steering wheel, and I have the old one available. It's got the fog light switch. I presently don't have fog lights on the truck, but I will show you the squirters. See that? Yeah, that's the headlight squirters. Works great. Stereo here, it's a Kenwood Exelon Bluetooth unit with the microphone up here. You've got the altimeter and the compass. The light is not working behind these things. I think they're a gimmick. I've never really used them for anything. Microphone for the hands-free phone. Parking brake works well. It has the automatic climate control. I have a spare climate control unit. You'll see that later in the video. This is the Reese trailer brake controller. So that's all good. That's pretty much it for the interior, I guess. There is the little light up here that you can flick on, the night light. There is a CB radio. I don't keep it out for theft reasons, but I just put it there. It's a Midland CB transceiver, so when you're out with your buddies, you can use that. Keep that back in there, because I don't really use the fridge too much. I really think it's more of a gimmick. The engine has been tuned. Just before we went to Moab, I took the injectors and the injection pump out and gave it to John Fox at Thompson Valley Fuel Injection, and he completely rebuilt it. I have all the receipts. So that's been gone through in the last 2 years. Minimal mileage since. So if you turn the key, I mean the truck is, well, we just moved it out of the garage. You get a puff and away she goes. So this one's tuned for a little more power offline. So it's a little bit more responsive. So as they say, we've got the part-time kit here. That's a Marks adapters. I have the receipts for that. Those are the AVM heavy-duty hubs. The truck has the wholesale automatics Nomad valve body in the transmission. It has the low-range Marks off-road low-range gear set, which gives you a deeper crawl ratio for going off-road. Got all this crap all over the headlights now. Yeah, got the automatic folding mirrors. So the truck's right here in Vancouver, British Columbia, just south of, or very close to the border with Washington State. I would have no trouble jumping this thing and driving it to California tomorrow. Have a look underneath the back. You can get a good look at that adjustable panhard. It has a 3-inch exhaust on it with an aero turbine stainless steel muffler. And we cleverly came up with this great idea to route the exhaust up and out through the bottom of the bumper so you don't have any clearance problems. I do have a ton of spares for the truck. We'll go over it all. You can see that blue item there is the brand new LSPV that was just installed. I change the gear oil almost every year. The brakes are good. The front and rear axle seals, bearings have all been redone in 2022, and the front has the Marlin Crawler heavy-duty axle seals on it, which is nice. The bumper's just fantastic. These are all our spares. Later in the video I'm going to show all that, but I mean, everything's here you could ever want to keep maintaining your vehicle, and of course the original Land Cruiser floor mats for the front. Flaws with the vehicle, again, as I said, it's not perfect cosmetically. There's no rust hardly. I used to put my rubber boat on the roof, so there's some scratches on the roof, but they're of a cosmetic nature. When I did the front wipers, I brought in the back one too from Saudi Arabia. I have, after we put the the rock sliders on, I had a problem with rocks getting kicked up and hitting this door, so I put some of the clear gravel guard on the door, but there was no rust there really, so I just did that just for ease of maintenance. Yeah, I don't know quite what else to say. It's been a lot of fun. I'm a Land Cruiser guy from way back. The truck is sitting on a 4-inch TJM gold spring and shock system, so it's pretty high. The caster's been corrected with the weld-on caster plates from Land Tank. Now, if you know anything about Land Cruiser community, you know Land Tank. So he gave us the caster plates and we installed them. It has 1-inch sleek bushings in the trunnion bearings. It has a Land Tank double cardan front drive shaft. The rear drive shaft I had removed 2 years ago, and we sent out to Pat's Driveline, and they completely redid it. So you can see the condition of the underbody there, and there's the Pat's Driveline. And I bought new Koyo Japanese U-joints from owner at Land Cruiser Consulting. So that's pretty good. I think the truck's ready to go. I'd be happy to deliver it to Washington State. no trouble. And we'll move on to the receipts that we have for the truck and the interior views of all of the spare parts that are being sold with the truck. It's really tough to let this one go. It's been part of our family for a long time, but you know, I only drove at 3,000 last year. I'm kind of long on cars, and maybe it's time. I've got spare springs for it. I've got all kinds of spare parts for maintenance. I'm kind of upset that I squirted the windshield. The tires have very good life left in them. I like these tires. I did have a set of the Cooper Discover STTs on it, the mud terrains, but I didn't like those so much. They were just a little too rough riding. Anyway, there you go. Okay, so we're just steaming along here down the hill. Spencer's going to zoom in on the steering wheel here. I'm going to release my hands and just put the foot on the brake. You can see the truck stops very straight. Brakes are new. This truck has the upgraded brakes from the HDJ81, so it's a much larger, heavier front caliper and pad set. And we bleed the brakes at the end of every season as a preventative measure. I'm going to slow down a bit again, and we'll accelerate a little more strongly here so you can hear how the transmission responds. No issues with the transmission. I dump the pan at the end of every season and refill it with fresh. I pulled the magnets out 2 years ago and there was nothing on them. Of course, 2 years before that we installed the Nomad valve body, which allows lockup in third gear. Here we go. Which is really great for towing. It's a lot snappier. Here we go. And we're in overdrive. We have to slow down now because we're going to break the speed limit. So we're going to go up a steep hill here. The truck's still a little bit cold. It's just starting to warm up. So here we go, a steeper hill. Put my foot down. 18 pounds of boost. We're climbing the hill. Look outside. Still got my foot down. We're at 17 pounds of boost. EGTs are at 950. Of power. It is a little smoky when you first start it up though, because it's tuned for bottom end. I asked John Fox when he redid the injectors in the pump 2 years ago, I asked him for some bottom end, for some step off. I don't like being stuck in traffic, so if you stop this thing, it's got a pretty good little step off, like it'll get up and go. So it's also tuned for bottom end. So this thing falls on its face at about 2,900 RPM. You don't really need to go that much higher anyway. Japanese market truck has the cornering lights that come on when you signal when your headlights are on. That's another neat Japanese only feature. And yeah, that's it. So Spencer, thanks very much. So we'll take a minute and talk about all of the spare parts that are included with the sale of the vehicle. You know, I've collected quite a lot over the years. Obviously the Land Cruiser rear cover is still here. It's kind of unusual. It's still fully functional. I guess I'll start off with, I've got a full set of these brand new WeatherTech window covers for the front and rear on both sides. I never put them on. I've got a spare steering wheel. I did replace the steering wheel in the truck with a really fresh one, so this is a good usable spare, so you could use that for if you're working on something. The Toyota toolkit is here. It's complete. There's a spare depot headlamp in really good shape. This has the HID bulbs, so there's an entirely new set of spare HID bulbs there. In case you have a problem, take them with you. Some nice things I have here, I've got a fully functional spare climate control system actuator ready to go. Another good spare that we have here is the 24 to 12 volt solenoid crossover switch. Of course, these trucks are 24 volt start, so this is the series parallel switch. It's a Toyota product. It's a good working spare. I've never used it. It's been in storage. I have a spare alternator. This is a rebuilt Toyota factory alternator, and it's got a fresh, well, this is the original one, and I cooked it. So I had a new one built, which has been absolutely fantastic. I have a really good alternator guy through business, so it has, this one's ready to go on with the double shift pulley already installed. I got a couple of the right hand drive tie rods, brand new Japanese branded tie rods there. I've got, well, you can see I've got spare interior parts. Here's a spare door handle. This is a spare set of all the interior lights on the vehicle. You can see there, in case you need to change them, those are all ready to go. I have the 54mm hub socket there, and a socket for the rear wheel bearing adjustment. All right, so in here I have a big selection of all the Toyota body clips and bolts. Everything's here. So metric bolts, clips, all the change. I've gone around and replaced most of the clips because most of them have broken at some point. Whoops. Anyway, I guess I never really thought I'd sell this truck, but the cigarette lighter is here, and as you can see, this was never smoked in this truck. This is the cigarette lighter it came from Japan. Never smoked in, that's why I bought it. Of course, the Max Ellery manual's here for you. Invaluable. I have 3 corner markers. This one's a yellow one. I don't know why I have a yellow one, but I've got it. I've got a couple of these trims that go under the lights. And this one actually has a spare JDM washer nozzle for the headlights. No longer made, it's unobtainable. Got here some needle bearings for the front shafts and bushes for the front drive shafts. I have a spare folding electric mirror assembly, so if you have a problem with it, there's a spare one. Okay, so down here, this gasket is a spare floor gasket that goes around the automatic transmission shifter. I was going to get around to that. I have a spare center diff and defrost, another light lens. These are the little C-clips that go around the end of the Burfield joint on the outer end. What you see here is all the parts that came out of the truck when I converted it to part-time all-wheel drive. This is from the transfer case, so this is the viscous coupler. You could return it to that. I have the extra long drive flanges that go in place of the manual hubs. If you want to return it to all-wheel drive, everything's here. These are the extra long ones from the FZJ. They're deeper this way, so you get more of a bite. They're here, and the caps are here, obviously. I've got a bunch of Land Cruiser rear mud flaps here. This is a brand new in the bag rear mud flap for the other side. And then I've got 3 Land Cruiser front mud flaps. You tend to knock them off when you're four-wheeling. Oh, sorry, this is the shift boot lever. I had an idea that mine was damaged, so I bought this, and mine's fine, so I never changed it. So, shift boot. These are fender seals. So because this truck has the aftermarket exhaust, I found that the fender seals didn't fit. These go in the wheel well. I got 2 of those. So over here I have a couple of never installed. They're used, but they're good. These are adjustable upper links for the rear suspension, so they're fully functional. You can see they're ready to go. The bushings are good. They just need a paint job. Now for the front axle, this is the main shaft for the steering wheel where it passes through the floor, the steering shaft. In case you want to change that, nice Toyota part. I've got some of the little JDM clear indicators. I don't think that's for the Land Cruiser. This is a rear axle dust seal. And here's all the stuff for the front axle. Obviously, I rebuilt the entire front axle front to back in 2022 before it came to Moab. So you got the felts, you've got the outer gaskets, there's a couple of the metal brackets, and these are the star washers that you bend over when you're doing that. And I've got a bunch of the little shims for adjusting the kingpin kingpin clearance. So, you know, these are handy. I always lose those or bend them. And there's another shim right there. And inside this one is a bunch of the little JDM bulbs. So there's bulbs for the dash instrument. This one's a real pain in the ass to open. There it is. So the little dash instrument bulbs and the special bulbs for the JDM. These are all for the dash. So there's 3 or 4 little Toyota bags here. The dash light bulbs. That'll be included. Yeah, so someone in Japan, these little decals were on here from Japan. When we went to Moab in 2022, I backed into a tree and I took out my back window. So the branch went straight through the back window. So I bought a whole new gasket and a new back window. These aren't made anymore, the back windows, and it cost me like $500 for this piece of glass. So I replaced it with a new Toyota gasket. And this is a perfectly rust-free rear tailgate. I guess the original Japanese owner could look at these decals and see perfectly rust-free. And the rear defroster is fully functional. Everything's here. Even the little lamp above there is fully functional. I replaced that. We have new gas struts on there, so it stays up. You can see the gas struts. It's quite cold out today, so it's good. $500 window. And being a good Land Cruiser owner, I went and bought another one because you can't buy them anymore. So I have another window that goes with the truck. Yeah, so mounted behind this panel here is a Kenwood powered subwoofer. And mounted behind this panel here is where you keep the jack and all that stuff. But there's a 7-pin trailer connector and a flat 4 trailer connector. And what I do is I just bring them out here and drop them through here when I'm towing. That works with the brake controller up in the front. There's also a 12-volt receptacle back here. It's hidden behind there because we don't use it very much. So that's kind of an idea of all the good stuff I have here. Got a few more things. I have a couple of really cool custom front springs for the truck. These are progressive rate. You can see how the wind is a lot tighter here and then it gets fatter there. That's from custom made from Frankie's Off-Road, a company out of business. I bought a suspension from him a few years ago. It was great. So those go with it. 2 factory Land Cruiser floor mats for the front. I've got rubber mats in there now. I just think it's easier. There's 3 Land Cruiser air filters. There's 3 Toyota fuel filter water separators. I've got a really good pair of Japanese Burfield joints for the front on axle shafts. Those are the original shafts. Before we went to Moab in 2022, I pulled both axles apart to 0 and completely rebuilt them, and I put new Longfields in, so new shafts and new Burfields, the hardened ones now that the truck is part-time. But I mean, you can see the condition of these. I replaced these not much. There was only probably about 3 years use on them. As you can see, they're made in Japan. This is a custom lightened flywheel that we were going to put in the transmission when we had the engine out. We didn't get around to it, but that came from Malaysia, and it's supposed to help. And just for fun, this is a turbo another turbo crossover manifold. Because we've modified the turbo manifold in the truck for the intercooler, I picked up a spare one in case I ever wanted to put it back. And I guess last but not least, we have the, this mounts onto the outside of the JDM spare tire, and you can put your gas can in it. You can mount your high lift jack to it. I'm going to keep the high lift jack mounts and my high lift jack, unless, you know, the deal is a good deal. So this just slides in. It's got like a hitch receiver on the back of it, and you can mount whatever you want to that for going off-road. I used to take that with me when I went on my expeditions. So there's quite a lot of good stuff here. You know, and of course all the maintenance records too, which we'll go over. That's about it for our spares. So we'll go on with something else in a bit. Forgot to mention, I actually ordered a new factory Toyota direct from Japan sunroof deflector. So even got the Land Cruiser logo on it with the little trim tab. Never installed. So, you know, if you give me the price that we're looking for here, all of these extra items are included. All of the mounting gear's there. So this is a new old stock part, never been installed. Yeah, it goes with the truck. It's got a new rubber gasket. Again, new, perfectly new.
Yep. No, it won't. It won't hit. You're good. Watch out backing up. The bumper did. Oh, you're so close. You're so close, Dad. Okay.
Okay, so this truck has a lot of modifications which are valuable, but you can't really see them unless you tear it apart. So on this invoice, I had a rebuilt steering box installed and a custom-made steel frame reinforcement because the frames crack around the steering box on this truck. So it was installed there back in 2012. So it's got a reinforced steel box around the steering box, or steering gearbox in this truck, which is great. As an aside, here's all of the receipts for the truck. Probably about 35,000 bucks worth of maintenance in there. This is just going to show in 2022, I put new spindles in the front and the gasket and wiper kit for the front when I rebuilt the front axle from Moab. These are the SLE off-road front 1 degree caster adjustment for the trunnion bearings. You can't see those, but they're in there. That's from Mark's Off-Road. The AC was recharged in 2022, I believe, just a recharge. The truck is all converted to R134A. This is a receipt for that custom alternator. The truck is being delivered with 2 alternators. One's a custom built. This is the engine rebuilt. It's got about 50,000 miles on the rebuilt engine now. You can see the entire engine was done. This proves the piston ring set. The power steering was rebuilt at that time. The power steering pump, I should say. Thermostat, rod bearing set, oil filter, manifold gaskets, head gasket. The head was sent out to be machined. The valves, 3-angle valve job. The harmonic balancer, crank seals, grommets, everything's there. Anyway, so it's all there. This is the Marlin Crawler inner axle seals that I put in 2022 before we went to Moab. Pat's drive line, proof of the drive shaft being rebuilt and balanced. That's the rear drive shaft. That was done. Land Cruiser Consulting in just before we went to Moab, all of these parts were done. Full rebuild kit for the front axle. Again, more stuff. These are the U-joints that I put into the drive shaft. They're Matsuba, actually, not Aisin, but Japanese U-joints. They're great. Okay, wholesale automatic transmission. The transmission was gone through and redone. It has the Nomad valve body. I did that at the end of 2018. Here's the receipt for it, which shows Nomad valve body. So this allows the truck to tow, and it also allows the transmission to lock up the torque converter in 3rd and 4th gears, which is great. It keeps the transmission cooler. This is the instructions for the valve body. This is the part-time kit to make it 2-wheel drive and the heavy-duty hubs. This is from Australia. EBI Cruiser parts. Here's the gear set. This is the low-range gear in the transfer case, which allows the truck a really low crawl gear. It's great when you're going off-road, particularly with an automatic. You're going to go downhill. Okay, Thompson Valley fuel injection. These are the guys. That's John Fox. So I sent him the pump, injection pump, and the injectors in 2021, just before we went to Moab, because it was leaking. It took him some time to fix it. It was expensive. It was like almost 2,500 bucks. So he tuned the pump for low end power. It's a little smoky off the line, but I don't mind that. No, that doesn't matter. This is just some stuff I got when I imported the vehicle from the British Columbia government. This is the British Columbia thing. Here's the export certificates for the vehicle. And I have the shake-in reports for it too somewhere, which it was delivered to New Westminster. The shake-in reports that indicate that the vehicle had accurate mileage on it when it was delivered. And I have a whole bunch of these government yearly inspections that I've had to do in British Columbia, which verify the mileage since it arrived. Here's the manual for the subwoofer that's in the back of the truck. And I think that's about it. It's a whole pile of stuff. The truck's been really over-maintained, I would say. Certainly ready to go. And all of the stuff will be available to go through. Thank you.
Need the diff locks.
If you made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. The contact information and pricing information will appear below the video in the description section. Feel free to give me a call or an email at any time. We can talk Land Cruisers and explain how you can get closer to take a look at this thing. Anyway, thanks again and have a great day.